will give lot of complicates. Irrespective of the cost and irrespective of the performance and irrespective of the some security violations. So think about like if you got a new project, or maybe if you're going to onboard any customer, or maybe uh, if you want to, if we got a new project and we need to install, like we need to install or onboarding those customers to our environment. So first of all, we need to understand the requirement. Okay. Once you understand the requirement, then only like we need to go for further steps. Okay. So what exactly what we're going to do? So here, the thing is like uh, onboarding the customer and project initiate, or maybe installing SQL Server, not in a 1 or 2 days. Actually, like it's kind of like a project. For that, lot of people involved. Initially, like a project team will involve, and as well as sales team will involve. Later, it will hand over to the database team and application team to design the backend and front-end applications to support the client operations. So for that, first sales and project team will interact the customers, and they will sell the product, or maybe they will offer the like support. We are going to do this much of budget. It will they have to pay, and also they will ask for the SLAs, like what I meant to say, support level agreements. If something goes wrong, how long, and we are going to give the customer services back, and if they're raising any ticket, how we are going to proactively active, and how we are going to maintain the security data for the customer, and how we are going to maintain the customer data per retention period. What I meant to say, like customer data is there. Uh, if they want to go for the past days, how long we are going to go back, and we are able to restore the customer data. The customer data means like not only database, it will include the applications as well, because the up sometimes the customer will store the data in the application servers, in the kind of like documents and some other files. So the sales and the project team will get the requirement, and also they will get the some requirement as well, like how many users and what is the business, and what exactly the business is going to do from their end. Once they get the requirement, here application team and database team not directly involve the customer call, but once the sales team and the project manager involve the initial discussion, they will get the all the required data. Then they will arrange a call with database team and application team and Windows team, and as well as the network team. So they will tell this is the customer requirement. We need this uh, like the customer. We agreed for the customer 99.99 SLA, and we are agreed for the customer want some availabilities, and customer need like reportings, and customer wants to the data from the last 30 days to restore, like the customer wants to the data to restore last 6 months, like that. Accordingly, then we'll move forward. Okay. In that project team, mainly application team and database team will ask the questions, like which once we get the requirement, then we need to decide which SQL Server edition we need to use. Why? Because day before yesterday I explained, right, why the edition is the matter. Because the edition is matter for the kind of like a cost and as well as the resource utilization. So the customers really required enterprise edition or not. If they required enterprise edition, then we'll go for. Why? Because we need to provide the estimation cost to the project team. Like if I go for enterprise edition, this much of cost we need to pay to the Microsoft. Okay, and this many users and this much of data customer having this much like disk we need to attach. The disk cost will be provided from the Windows team. And also one more thing is like if the customer wants to the database tier access. So for that we need to go for different configurations like ODBC SSL certificate, and we need to whitelist some IP address, and as well as we need to attach the public IP address to the Windows. The most like building the platform will take care from the Windows, but as a DB team, we need to provide this information. Accordingly, the Windows team will build the infrastructure. The thing is like if you're going to attach the public IP address, we need to pay cost. And one more thing is like if you attach the public IP address, there will be chance to attack the security from the like outside unuser people will access. So for that, how we are going to protect our server. Uh, One more thing is like what are the like RAM and what are the CPU we need to allocate. Those information we have to provide, and here each and every company will maintain the one project Excel like a calculator. Like in that Excel, what we need to do, like we'll enter the how many cores we need and how much RAM we need and how many disks we are going to attach and how many like public IP address we are going to attach or not, and the client required ODBC security thing or not. That Excel sheet, uh, it will provide the some cost. That cost will include the like the resource like simply building the Windows team, a Windows server, providing the cost not sufficient for the IT companies, right? Why? Because if you build the Windows team, we have to pay for the Windows team resource to cost, and we need a database team. For that also, we need to pay for a database team, and we need to pay for application team, and we are going for monthly patching activity. For that also, we need to pay it. For that, all the things will consider and will provide the cost. If the cost is matching what the sales and project team agreed from the customer, they said, okay, you can go and build the infrastructure. If the cost is not matching what they promised, then again they go and call with the customer and they will explain the cost. And once they approved, we can start the building the database servers like Windows. After that, database team will install the SQL Server, and application team will install the application servers. But the thing is like application servers also the responsible to build the Windows from the Windows team. So the thing is like the typically the call attended from the DBA manager and our DBA architect or lead, not L1 and L2. Why? Because if they ask like high availability, how we are going to design the high availability? Do we require standard edition or do we require enterprise edition? Like if the customer 24/7, how we are going to provide the our support, and if the customer have like a heavy busy system, like what are the disk we need and what are the IVAPs that required to support the business operations. These things we will collect it, and once we collect the resource to build the Windows system, then we can send it to the Windows team to build the that particular virtual machine. So initially, the what are the server Windows giving to the database team, that simply we can call like a Windows server or virtual machine or maybe node. So once we install the SQL server, that virtual machine or computer or node, we can call like a database server. I can explain after installing what is database server, what is instance, and other things. But now here the requirements we need to gather. What are the resource we need to give it to the Windows team. Here like and one more thing. I'm sorry. Here one more thing is like we need to ask the what is the collision setting. The collision setting means like a kind of a long ways, and how the data is going to store the database, how the data is retrieving, and how the data is sorting. That thing is mainly important. Why? Because if you're going to install the software in the US, there will the collation is like a one default collation that will store the data and retrieve the data using that collation setting in the SQL Server database. Suppose like if the software under the business we are going to install in the Germany based business, their English language is not fit. So for that we need to select their respective collision setting. Accordingly, the data will be stored and the data will be retrieved. Suppose like if you're going for install the software and the business is going to run the China, then China having like a different collision, like a language, right? How the data is going to store, how the data is going to retrieve. The collision is the first matter. If you install the English, later the while inserting and retrieving the data in the application team under the front end looking for the Chinese language, the data won't insert. That's a big problem. So sorry, we need to ask the collision setting as well. And the other thing is like the project and sales team will get the information, the customer business, which region and which data centers really operating. Why? Because the customer data and operations running on the East US. But if you build the database server in the West US, then what will happen? The data center will be different location and application is coming from the different region. Then what will happen? If you have more RAM, if you have more CPU also, while fetching the data, inserting the data, we can see a lot of difference. Like suppose like if the application server and database server and as well as business running in the same region, the data will fetch 2-3 seconds. If you keep the database server opposite data center, then what will happen? The data will like get 27 seconds. We are thinking about only 20 seconds. But the thing is like if you think about the customer side, that is a very lag. So that also we need to consider, and we need to build the virtual machines and we need to build the application servers uh, uh, as per the customer requirements. The thing is like these are the not database responsibilities, but as a database team, we must aware where exactly database server is hosted and where exactly the application server hosted. Why? Because recently we had some issue. The thing is like the database server, the Windows team install on West US region, and application is sitting onto the application server sitting onto the East US, and also the customer business is running on the East US. So the customer went to go live, and once the customer started running the operations, they giving complaints like previously the customer data giving the results 4 seconds, but once we taken responsible from the onboarding to a new environment, the customer data is getting like a 30 seconds or 40 seconds. Then here application team and Windows team claiming the problem with the database. Later, what we did, like we enable the profiler and we capture the data, how the data is coming from application. Then we'll come to know we got the application server. Then in the application server, we checked the which region. Then we compared the database server region and as well as the application server region. Then we'll come to know both are in the different region. Once we move to the database server to application region, the data is giving very fast. So that is the reason the DB team must have some knowledge, the regions and network side. But the things and activities will take care from the other team, but we have to guide. Otherwise, if you comes to the performance issues, if something goes wrong, then the database team is the more responsible. That is the reason before onboarding the customer, these things DB team have to be carefully take the inputs. Okay, you're taking the inputs and designing the architecture. As I mentioned, the architect or maybe lead will decide, not L1, L2. Once we get the information, we'll pass it to the Windows team. Here. See, we'll gather the requirements. Once we gather requirements, DB team will prepare the specs like how much RAM we required, how much CPU we required, how many disk we have, is there public IP address required or not, and client required direct access or not. We collect the information.